also been able to see each other, but yeah.
Do you come to New York often?
Not very often. Mostly if I have to like go or take an international flight, only then usually I come. But
Your networking is not in person anymore.
No, it is in person. It was off. It was online only for a week, but yeah, only like during the initial Omicron phase. But then it turned out to be in person.
Are you coming here? Are you coming to the city for consulting and tech, or are you targeting the West Coast?
Mostly like I'm targeting tech, but yeah, like a lot of the companies are doing virtually. But I may come to New York towards the end of the month, around 27, 26. So I'll ping you on that.
Sure.
But yeah.
Let's get started.
Yeah, not to hijack it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess we'll formally start the event now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Formally and
So
formally.
good evening to all the panelists, faculty members, and students present here. I hope you're all safe and your families, friends, relatives are all doing good. Today, we have gathered here for an informative, career centric webinar MBA Abroad The Road Ahead for those intending to join top B schools and universities across the globe. Organized by Society for Civil and Environmental Engineer, which is the oldest technical society of DTU. I'm Mihika Sankla.
I'm Upasna Singh. And I, Sahas Sharma, will be your moderators for this event. Since its establishment in 2009, SCEE-DTU has continuously strived to provide its members with various opportunities to participate in events bestowing practical knowledge in the field of civil and environmental engineering. We are a community of students who work towards imparting practical knowledge and learning to all members of society.
Today, we will be interacting and comprehending a lot from our esteemed alumni who have pursued their masters in business administration from various prestigious universities across the globe. They'll be sharing numerous insights as to why and how to apply to these universities. Not only this, we will be getting multiple recommendations on how to make our application stand out from the rest. The event will aim to provide a clear picture and cognizance for everyone interested in pursuing their MBA overseas and will try to clear out all the doubts and uncertainties surrounding it.
Hi guys, I'll kick it off. My name is Aishwarya. I'm a 2014 DC civil grad. I did my. Let me just start my presentation. Are you guys done? Can we just start with the presentation?
No, sir. We'd just like to inform all the participants here that there is a parallel meet that is going on. First of all, the link is shared in the chat box. You can join there. And another thing, before calling the panelists, I would like to invite Professor A.K. Srivastav, sir, Dean Outreach and Extension Activities. Professor A.K. Srivastav, sir, is the faculty advisor of SCEE-DTU and a professor at Civil Engineering Department. I would request her to speak a few words about the today's event. Srivastav, sir. Yes.
So, thank you very much. He is doing very well, and I must thank the SCEE community to getting us connected with some of our old students, alumni, and some of my favorite students. They are doing wonderful, either in the higher studies or they are also doing well in the professional life. I tell you, yesterday I met one of the alumni of DTU Environmental Engineering first batch, and he was working with the United Nations on the clean environment, clean air projects. And even I was not knowing him because when he got graduated that time, I didn't join DTU or DC. But it gives us immense pleasures when somebody says that when something in the name of DC or DTU comes into our ear, and it gives you immense pleasure that our students are doing wonderful and well. One good thing that is happening with the SCEE and Society for Civil and Environmental Engineers and with the young, our students, they started getting connected with our glorious alumni. And see, you are not just helping the students, but your presence is very much motivating to these students that yes, if I want to pursue MBA in US or some other institutes, or if I want to go for MS, or if I go for some jobs or some entrepreneurship, some business, anything. So that can be there, and somebody is there to help him. And actually, we are planning. I think our all of the current students, they are knowing that we are conducting a program under Delhi government umbrella, that Desh Ke Mentor program. It's a mentorship program for school students, where mentors are mostly our university students. They are guiding career guidance. They are guiding the mentees of this who are the school students. Even we are planning, and we are in the touch with the different organization at the globe level, that mentorship for our graduating students. If somebody wants to go abroad, so want to pursue higher qualifications at abroad, they want to set up their own business, they want to start some startups, they want to do some higher studies, and if they've got some job at abroad, then there should be some mentor there who can guide them, that how and when, what type of steps or exercise they have to do. We are in touch with so many organizations, and hopefully soon we will start this mentorship program for our graduating students from our university, and the mentor like Eswadia and Sukrit will be helping them through a mobile-based application, because we have developed a mobile-based application for the DSK mentor program. And I wish that Eswadia and Sukrit must download this DSK mentor program in their app, and this would this would guide some of the students of Delhi government who are very much in need of this type of such guidance. And when they will talk to you, they will feel so much proud that, oh, somebody is sitting in a great university at New York, somebody is sitting at Philadelphia, and they are guiding from them. They are getting guidance from them. That there will be very much excitement for them. So I wish that you do it for present Desk Mentor program, and when we will be doing it for our university student also, where our university student will be a mentees, and mentor will be like you, where you will be guiding this student that how to get a job, how to get admissions in the different university, and how to set up their own business, set up their entrepreneurship, set up their startups. So that will be very, very great and very, very good. So with this, I will not take much time, because the two great personalities with you. So I just want to thanks this two personality that is there with us, and I want to thank the whole SCEE team, their president, secretary, joint secretary, and all lots of the students who is comparing this program, Upasna, Mihika, and so on and so forth. I cannot give all names. So all the students who are conducting this type of programs, SCEE, president of the SCEE, and our guests and our own, not guests, our own students, for guiding our own students for getting higher qualifications in the abroad university. So with this, I'm just stopping at this place, and please enjoy, and please interact as much as possible with Sukrit and Aswarya, so that you can get more and more benefit out of that. Thank you very much.
So before you quickly leave, I would just want to mention that this entire program of developing mentors and finding mentees across the globe is actually very useful. I'm a part of multiple SCEE-DTU alumni initiatives, and if the team has a plan, and if Sir's guidance is available, I'm more than happy to help the team put together a plan and connect you guys with alumni who are present in Boston, New York, not just there, but like in India as well. We have a very fruitful and very well run machinery when it comes to SCEE-DTU alumni. It's just the fact that sometimes they have not really received the right kind of support from the college. But with things turning around, and things settling down, it will be fairly easier to incorporate one such program. I don't know if you guys know about it, but there was a massive program organized during the last wave of COVID, specifically the Delta variant, wherein a bunch of our alumni actually partnered with DC students and faculties to help our alumni who needed any supplies. So we've had that camaraderie before, and I believe putting together this kind of plan shouldn't be a challenge. If sir, you want to connect offline, I'd be more than happy to like help and like connect all the team so that they can put together a plan and we can get this enrolling. Thank you for putting this out.
Okay, thank you, Aishwarya. And just you drop your contact details, etc., with anybody of our students. I will get it from them, and then surely I will be in contact with you people. And so that we want to make this as a see. Our vision is that to this mentorship program, this mentorship program, I want to get it to the level of that it should be a world largest program. Because see, at present we are engaging about at present 50,000 mentors we are having, and they are guiding about 2 lakhs of the mentees. So we want to make it up to 8 lakhs mentees and 2 to 3 lakhs mentors. So and then it will be a world largest mentorship program in the education system, and then we will be in the Guinness Book of World Record. We want to see this to happen in 1 or 2 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would also love to contribute. Like, I think it's because of the school, and also like Aishwarya, in a way, like helped me a lot. Like, he's also a mentor to me. And I think like it's necessary to keep paying it forward so that you can see, like, as a collective bunch, we can have that strength of a university that like maybe something like IITs, some of the IITs have, or like some of these other institutions have, because they keep paying it forward. So yeah, I'm also on board for this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words. We are extremely happy to have you with us today. Now, moving forward to the much awaited part of the webinar, taking the legacy of DTU forward, we present before you the two panelists who have made it into the world's top B schools, and we are proud to say that they are associated with the alma mater of all of us. I would like to take the opportunity to introduce the first panelist, Mr. Sukrit Chadda sir, a graduate from the 2015 Environmental Engineering batch who has been admitted to the Wharton School of University of Pennsylvania from 2021 to 23. He had previously worked as a business analyst at United Health Group and as an investment banking analyst at JP Morgan. He was also part of Clinton Health Access Initiative, Incorporated, and based in Rwanda as a senior associate. We are grateful to have you, sir.
Next, we have Mr. Aishwarya Morsa, a graduate from the 2014 batch of civil engineering, who have been admitted at Duke University, the Fuqua School of Business from 2019 to 21. He has worked as a specialist consultant at BCG and was the founder and president of Fern India NGO. He is currently working as a Pathways Operations Manager at Amazon. We are grateful for your presence, sir.
Now, I would request the panelists to share their PowerPoint presentation with everyone, providing the description of a good application that stand out from the thousands of applications that these universities receive every year. Furthermore, they'll be giving a deep insight into their portfolios and personal experiences throughout this fantastic journey. We request Aishwarya Morsar to please present his screen and take over.
So not the best tech to move forward with, but I thought I could get in a logo for SCEE. Unfortunately, they don't have that. But I will just quickly walk you guys through the agenda for the same. I think you guys touched upon the Know Your Panelist piece. Me and Sukrit will be going back and forth. We haven't really decided on an order as to who will say what. I think it is fairly important to understand the narrative and the viewpoint of the both of us, because we've come from very different sides of work experience. Sukrit has been very financial heavy. I've been very consulting and family business driven. Our applications were different. Our target schools were different. And our years of application were fairly different. One was right in the middle of COVID and one was before COVID. A lot of things have changed in terms of the spectrum as to how the MBA application looks like. But yeah, the basics will still remain the same. So broadly, the agenda will touch mostly about how to crush the exam, picking the schools and working with consultants, resume building, essays and LORs, forms and interview. Also, before I go ahead, I'll be very candid about this, but trust me, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so it might look like this is something fairly difficult. And since you guys are still in the formative years of your college, this might look like as a big deal. But trust me, if you've all made it to DC this far, I'm pretty sure uh, moving forward in the next 5 to 10 years, you will be at a spot wherein going to the HSW, which is the Harvard, Stanford, and Wharton's, will be a cakewalk for you guys. DC is a fairly good school. Just focus on what you're doing. Continue to be intellectual and be curious. I'll start it off next by touching upon a brief introduction.
Maybe like if quickly to button, like if some people like feel free. We don't want it to be a very formal session. Also, we are your seniors, so would love to see you all. If possible, turn on your videos. We don't feel very mechanical talking to between me, Aishwarya, and the panelists. We would love to see you all also.
Sorry
Yeah,
to
maybe.
interrupt you, but could you just like do the turn on the PowerPoint mode, like full screen,
Oh yeah, sure, I'll do
so
that.
that it's clearly visible to everybody?
Just give me a minute. Is it visible now?
Somebody else had to. No, it's not. The mode is still the same
Okay, give me a
for
minute.
me.
Let me just restart it. Mhm.
I think we are reserving the questions for the end, or do we want to like take it in the middle or something on those lines?
No, sir, we'll be doing it at the end only.
Okay, sounds good. But yeah, would love to like see like the others, and if the panelists would have allowed us, we would have done an interactive session too. But now we'll keep it for the end.
Is the screen in the? Are you able to see the presentation in a full screen mode now, or is it still the same issue?
It's still the same.
Maybe should I try to do it?
Yeah, try doing it, Suvrit. Maybe it works at your end, but like I'm just trying to adjust a few things. Doesn't really work for
If
me.
you can just turn on the slideshow.
Okay, turn on. Okay.
F5.
Okay, will you try or should I give it a try again?
I can give it a shot. Let's see. Let's see if it works. Okay, is it?
Yeah, amazing,
Yeah,
sir. This works fine.
Okay. I don't know how to, if I can see. Cool. Yes, sir, over to you.
I think your screen still says a different age on the deck. Could you go back, please? Yeah. So, hi guys, my name is Aishwarya Moore. No one calls me that. It's a funny name, both the first name and the last name. I've never been called by my first name all across my undergrad in India, and I made it a point that no one calls me by my first name, at least in the US, because they screw it up big time. I go by the name of Ash these days, which is a matter of laughter for Sukrit right now. I can see that. But yeah, I had close to 5 years of work experience before I went to Duke. I did a bunch of stuff, and I would want to share my interesting journey. But I hopped on and jumped across a bunch of consulting firms. Tried doing a lot of things. If someone has been through my LinkedIn profile, they would have realized. Started off my journey with ZS Associates, worked there for a year, went to EY, got a promotion there, then decided to go back to family business just to try and see if I could implement some of the strategy stuff that I'd learned. Spent close to 2 years there, started my own NGO, which is called Fun India, which is basically trying to solve the problem of food inefficiency and hunger in the country. I felt there that my current skill set was not allowing me to expand the family business to a level which I wanted it to be. Also, the fair amount of digitization that was present within the corporates could not be easily transferred within the small medium enterprise sector, which kind of prompted me to apply for a business school. Did my GMAT a bunch of times, got lucky once, got a 760, applied first time in a bunch of schools, got into a school which I didn't want to go, so reapplied. And that's the reason you see very few admits and things, because I was very selective the next time. I applied to FUCO in the early application round, got in, decided that I still wanted to give consulting a shot and clear my head before I go and apply for a full time job or suit a full time job within my MBA. So took up the role of a specialist consultant within BCG for 6 months in Bombay. I think a very eye opening and a very fruitful experience. Gave me a well rounded picture of what I really wanted to do in life. Went to Duke, had a baller of a time. First year, chilled and enjoyed, struggled like everyone does, slept very few hours, got internship luckily, and then COVID happened when I was about to travel internationally. Uh, but then life takes its forms. We evolved, the entire batch evolved, came out with a completely different definition of what exactly an MBA should be and what should be expected from the program. Would love to share that with you. But currently at Amazon in a Pathways operations manager role, which is fairly focused on operations. And this kind of draws back to the experience that I've had in the past. So no matter how much people try and say this, but these schools are not a place to change your careers. They are just a way to progress your careers. It just ties back almost everything to like what you've done in the past. Most 95% of the time, people end up in a role which is fairly similar to what they've done before their MBA. Uh, GPA, a bunch of people have a different view on this. I feel GPA doesn't matter. But having said that, obviously get your grades good. It is fairly important. The world is getting competitive. Had a bunch of admits from FUCO and NYU. Was interviewed at Kellogg, got dinged. Was interviewed at Ross. And before that, I applied to Wharton, also got dinged. Over to you, Sukrit.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, I think I've also done a few things after I left DCE. I was an environmental batch of 2015. And then, as the panelists mentioned, I hopped around from United Health Group to JP Morgan to Clinton Health Access Initiative. And then finally doing a pre-MBA intern in product management before coming here. Yeah, I think I'll just reflect quickly on some of the things that Ash or Aishwarya sir also just said. Basically, yes, like GPA, I think, yeah, it doesn't matter so much, but maybe like it only matters for the first job that you get. But at the same time, you can't let it just slack off also. So it's necessary to be in a decent or respectable stage. But as long as you're able to find the first job that you like, I think it should be fine. And yeah, maybe like generally, like I tried to I shift around or shopped around in terms of my career. I changed a lot. But as we'll talk about the application, it's necessary to show a very coherent vision of what your career looks like. Obviously, when I was in your shoes, it never seemed that way, and the career never seemed like a straight path. But when you look back, you have to try to connect the dots, and that's what I did in the application. Yeah, and finally, I think it is definitely like tougher to shift industries in business school. Definitely, like there are a few industries which are more open to switching. I think comparatively to the others. For example, I think banking. If you want to get into investment banking or into consulting, I think they're still like comparatively more open, and then tech, and then the others follow in. So yeah, if there's something that you know already that you want to do that, then it's obviously like important that you focus on that and like try to get it before business school than thinking and waiting to get in after business school. Yes, like it could definitely increase and bolster your chances once you're at a good business school, but don't wait for it till after that. Yeah, maybe we could move on from here.
Sukrit, do I take the lead?
Yeah, please, absolutely.
Okay. So my favorite part, crushing the exams. I think we put a wrong caption in there. But for us, the journey looked like a
We
crush.
crushed by the exams.
For us, it was a crusher. I'm pretty sure. At least for me, it was.
Same.
And I come from a point wherein I gave my GMAT somewhere around 2016 and 17, or maybe 18. Not too sure, but around the same period. At that particular time, GRE was not really accepted very well by business schools. GMAT in itself is a fairly difficult exam, I would say, just because of the adaptive nature and the lack of understanding about how exactly the entire exam gets graded. Uh, I don't know if you guys know this, if everyone knows this, but the first 10 to 12 questions within GMAT actually determine whether you'll be able to hit around the 750 plus mark or not. So my just general advice to everyone these days is don't go for GMAT. One, because it is American English and our ears are trained for the British English, just because of the kind of literature we studied all across. So I would rather prefer going for a GRE, and I would recommend everyone else doing the same as well. Now that there's no specific difference in terms of how business schools perceive it. Uh, as rightly said, prep is more than just sitting for an exam. See, you guys can read the deck. I don't feel the relevance of reading all of this out. I will just share my quick insight, and then Sukrip can also share his pointers on this. But I just generally feel it is very, very important to build that strength, mental strength, to be able to sit through the entire exam. Uh, hop upon not just the official material, but definitely go reach out uh, to tuitions or coachings who kind of give you the right guidance. They've been in this game for long enough. They can tell you the tips and tricks which no one else would be able to help you out with. Define a timeline for yourself in terms of how long you actually want to prepare for it. If you do not give yourself a timeline, you will end up spending 6 months and the progress will be zero. Just generally, as Indians, we are a little scared of exams. Be very proactive in terms of the test series that you want to take. Do just not one, but like four, and continue to evaluate yourself at different points of the journey for the timeline that you've decided for yourself as to when you will start and when you will give the exam. And that is how you will be able to modulate your training appropriately. Giving the test fees not just helps you build that mental cadence, but also gets you in that mind frame, which is very, very important and which usually gets flagged off when you are in DC, fairly chill college. Everything is fine, everything goes smooth, not a lot of mental pressure. So try getting yourself into that day in, day out. I'm pretty sure all of you are very smart enough to get like a 325 plus score. With a 325 plus score, it is fairly easy for you to navigate to any university. Having said that, everyone should target close to like a 330, 329. And there's a conversion table which goes around. If if I'm kind of not wrong, and Super correct me if I'm there, but like 320 like a 700, which in today's world is not sufficient, just because the Indian pool has set such a high bar that everyone needs, like at least the Indian folks are compared in business school on the basis of the performance of their other relative peers. So keep an eye out for that. Do not hesitate to give the exam once again. You'll be fine. Sukrit, over to you.
Yeah, I think as well as I covered most of it, I'll try to like talk to some of the points that he mentioned and some others. So I think first, generally throughout, again, I would love to thank Espressa because I remember that I reached out to him for GMAT. I had reached out to him before GMAT as well, like when I was trying to change careers and during the application. So feel free, I think, like reaching out to seniors and some people who've done this process, super helpful. Honestly, like मेरी फट गई थी GMAT में और I was like giving it again and again. And like it's very mentally taxing also कि यार I'm not able to do it. You start doubting yourself कि कैसे करो आगे. But I think like then talking to your seniors and like trying to stick to that plan is very necessary. So that's one. The other, we're fine with the math portion. So if you really want to ace the exam and you are more methodical and better planned than I was, or generally who doesn't do stuff at the last minute, जैसे मैं करता हूँ. If if you are, then you should definitely like try to keep reading and like try to improve your English from the get go. Be in that habit where you get a knack for better English. Maybe try reading some classical novel that have like good English in them. And I know like one of our mutual friends, Aishwarya, and he read a lot of novels and he was able to like do the exam in one go. But yeah, for me it took like about 3-4 times. I also did GMAT because still GMAT GRE was GMAT was slightly preferred. But I think now as we see more and more people are shifting towards GRE. But at the same time, you can't, as Morsa said, ki you can't let it slack off. You need to have a good score because इतना ज़्यादा कंपटीशन है. हम सबको पता ही है कि यार बुरे हाल है इंडिया में उस मामले में. तो आई थिंक क्या कहते हैं, जितना अच्छा ला सकते हो स्कोर उतना अच्छा है. But nonetheless, like it's not the end of the day. And I think the other insight that I got from it, so I tried to take the GMAT 3 or 4 years after I had completed college. तब तक I was already out of the पढ़ाई वाला mode which people are in college. जो भी लोग कहते हैं कि अच्छा वो मोड होता है, totally agree कि यार होता है. एक बार जब तुम काम करने बैठते हो, you like you don't have that patience to, I don't know, sit that long. You're not in that mindset to keep taking exams. So like it's better fourth year college एक बार placement लग जाएगा, and if you're sure that this is something you want to do, so like it's better कि just get it out of the way. 5-year validity of the score. 5 year is like the general good time and you should apply or you can apply. For me, I generally got delayed because of GMAT. I thought I'll apply a year earlier. And then also COVID happened. But maybe like do it in the fourth year of college, get it over with. GRE anyway, like is applicable to both MBA as well as masters. So like I think it'll not be a wasted investment. And anyway, like a lot of you would be preparing for like some similar kind of aptitude exams for placement. So I think it's good to keep on going and get it over with. Yeah, sir. Over to you.
So this is the part where I usually advise people, and I don't want to sound off as if I'm trying to demotivate folks out, but you know, there is one thing that you think about when you are in your college or your undergrad. You look at fancy pictures of the states. You look at the fancy, beautiful beaches around, the greenery that you've never experienced in Delhi. But then you come out and reality hits, and that's a fact. It'll happen. It has happened to the most of us. It happened to me for sure. I was living a life in Bombay, chilling on Friday nights at 11 o'clock, partying till like 3, and then all of a sudden I went to a college town which was Durham, where Duke University is based. And trust me, everything just shuts down at 8 o'clock. Everything. One of the sole reasons why I am in New York right now is the fact that at least this city doesn't sleep. And there are not a lot of cities within the US that have a similar culture. People take inspirations from all the different movies that we go through in undergrad and build up narratives and stories. It is completely opposite. The Americans are very, very disciplined. They go to, at least the kind of people you would hang out with when you go to a master's program. They're very methodical, disciplined. They go to bed at 10. They don't like partying. I'm not saying that all of these things matter, but the point I'm trying to make here is that the environment in itself is fairly, fairly different. So before like even thinking about choosing a business school, the one thing that I always advise is whenever you have to choose a geography between Europe, India, US, Asia, anywhere, make it a point to go check that city or that location out, or at least the country out. It is very, very important for you to get a sense of what exactly a college town is. How exactly does it operate versus how is an NYU? one of one of Sukrit's and mine's friend and a fellow batchmate of mine from environment. He went to NYU Stern, and he had a completely different experience from an MBA perspective than what I had. His was a fairly more spread across, very metropolitan vibish kind of a experience, whereas mine was a college town wherein we were like 380 odd folks, always gelling up, hanging out at the same bar, going doing the same things, going to the same pub, repeating the same shit again and again. So it is fairly important to first get a hold of, where you want to be, and after you guys graduate, or even when you are in your uh, undergrad, this is probably the right time for you to go travel. A lot of our generation actually loves traveling, so utilize this opportunity to the fullest. Try and evaluate where you want to be. Business schools actually love folks who build that connection really up early up. You could drop a line to the admissions committee saying that, hey, you know what, maybe in the next 3 to 4 years I want to be a part of your business school. I am coming to the States or to the Europe, and I want to explore how exactly does the class structure look like. Just go. Every school has a different pedagogy when it comes to delivering content or learning. Okay, then I'll focus on the formal content which is put up here, but like ranking, career outcomes, cultures, scholarship, legacy, academics, and other stuff. Ranking, I think after having graduated, I feel apart from HSW, all schools in the top 20 are the same. My perspective has evolved to now say that it is not just the MBA school that matters, but it is what you do after the MBA school also matters. So no matter where you are, if you're in the company of folks whose school is maybe an M5 compared to an M7, and you're doing the same job, you're at the same level. Obviously, the access to opportunity in terms of alumni network could be different, but a lot of people just slag off. So be very mindful that realistically, the top 20 schools are good. HSW obviously stand out. Kudos to Sukrit for having nailed it right at where it was needed. The good stuff, Sukrit, making us all proud. Definitely, career outcomes do matter, and they will change. The kind of opportunity that you will have access to from an HSW might be a little different, just because they've been legacy schools for a longer amount of time. Also, in the US, just generally recruitment happens on a very city-specific basis. Say, for example, in India, you get a job with BCG. Hypothetically, you could be given the opportunity to choose either a Delhi or a Bombay or a Bangalore office. Whereas in the States, if you are, say, based out of Duke, which is in the southern part of the country, North Carolina, you mostly will get aligned to offices which are a part of southern system. So basically Atlanta, Dallas, because that is where a lot of recruitment or focus for those schools comes from, and that is where you develop that alumni relations. So super, it could be Pennsylvania, Philly, New York, DC, because they are some of the regions which are in close proximity. Culture, again, fairly important. I've known that from a bunch of Whartonites, and I could be wrong, but like it's a school of assholes. Not to say that Duke is not, just kidding, but like the culture is fairly different. You'll find more anal people somewhere. You'll find more happier and less competitive people the other way. So it's a fairly different combination. You will get that vibe when you speak to people from different colleges, and it's fairly important to have those conversations, but not right now. I think it's very important you have those conversations once you have the score in, once you're very focused as to which schools you want to go to. Scholarship, 100% scholarship versus a 10% scholarship. I would pick a 100% scholarship any day. I've seen the impact of it within COVID. You don't know what's up next. I will try to protect myself financially, and like making a decision when it comes to choosing a business school is also about being smart, and not just like intellectually but financially too. If you end up with a 1.5 CR, which is roughly 200K loan after 2 years, and then you have to work on top of it to repay it first and then accumulate capital, you're losing out on a lot of years that you could have else, maybe utilized to do a startup or earn even more in the current firm that you're working in. So be very prudent when it comes to making those decisions. I don't know. I have never seen like the legacy name, but definitely Sukrit will have a viewpoint on it. I think Fuka comes with that association of Duke, so Uh, Very fracty, very white school, but again, a decent amount of alumni all across the globe. I've never really had challenges with it. The newer schools might be one of those where you might not have sufficient global access. Actually, you know what? Now that you brought it up, fairly interesting story. One of my batchmates, he actually got stuck on Dubai airport during the COVID because he flew on the March 18th when COVID was announced, when lockdown was announced, and everyone just closed their borders. No one, not like his father himself was an IAS. He himself could not get him out, but it was a bunch of our alumni who pushed to the Dubai consulate and actually got him off because the Ministry of External Affairs in India was not supportive. So that's the power of legacy, you know, that you usually see, and I've seen it once in my lifetime. So good for me. Academics, it's usually a case study method, and I hate to say this word, like as internationals, people don't really focus much on academics. I was of the other view. We should. You've invested so much amount of money, so you should focus on improving your grades, learning stuff like finance, which usually cannot learn outside of business school. And sports fan, where does your boyfriend girlfriend go? Okay, yeah, maybe if you have a partner, align your priorities with them. US is not an easy place to survive with. You guys are used to getting food from your mom's and not doing laundry, not doing house chores. But when you come to the US, reality strikes, and you have to do everything by yourself, which is what kind of makes it a little more harder in reality, because you've got to manage yourself, your house, a bunch of your food, and then also go at like 7. I'm pretty sure Sukrit might be on the schedule right now. He has to like his calendar is very fixed. The reason he asked you guys for a calendar invite is also to ensure that he allocates his time very wisely. So I'll pass it on to Sukrit now. Not speaking much, but like, go ahead, Sukrit, contribute.
Yeah, that is true. Like it becomes very crazy, busy in this time. There's so many things to do, and you always need to choose and prioritize. But yeah, like I don't know, like just to take a quick pulse check. Are we going too fast? Are we going too slow? Are people listening to us? एक बार like हाथ उठाना, whoever is like listening to us, maybe you can like put on the hand up.
भाई लोग बोर हो रहे हो मतलब तुम बता सकते हो यार मतलब we come from the same school of thought. We don't really want to like bore the shit out of you guys.
हाँ, तो maybe like if it's better, we could also like jump directly into question answer and then we can like reference these slides if that's better. कि यार at least तुम लोगों की question answer हो जाए.
चलो ठीक है, you're enjoying a lot. Good to hear that, guys. Sukrit, ऐसा करते हैं. Let's just run through the slides quickly. If you want to take the next set, go ahead, and then we can shoot our experiences. You know.
हाँ, I think ठीक है. Sounds good. Cool. So yeah, consultants. Like for me, I definitely took a consultant because मेरे को लगा था कि it was a very overwhelming process. Didn't know where to start, and then that needed a helping hand. So those were the reasons why I took. Definitely your alums help. Like I reached out to Aishwarya sir to get guidance, and like he read my essays. So, but like the common misconception is कि यार एक बार consultant ले लिया तो फिर game ठीक है यहाँ पे है, he'll manage. But that is not true. It is your application. Consultant usually like helps in some extent for overall guidance, but you need to like work on it and perfect it because every consultant has like 15-20 odd people who are running after him कि यार ऐसे देख लो, ये देख लो, वो देख लो, and वो personalized attention कभी इतनी मिलती नहीं है. तो yeah, those are the pros that like you get some overall guidance and like he maybe also keeps you in check कि these are the deadlines and like it helps you start off. But again, like you need to spend around 2, 3, 4 lakh or even like more depending on if you take a consultant from outside. And sometimes like it is possible that they make your application very generic. So they give you guidance that a lot of other people are also following. So like उससे थोड़ा थोड़ा हो जाता है कि it's not as personalized an application, which the business schools definitely want. So yeah, like those are some of the pros and cons. But if you think that if you want to do without a consultant, then it's necessary that you start a little bit earlier so that you're able to get that feedback from other people, like seniors or people who've gone through this cycle. And it's necessary then you also try to see कि उस स्कूल का जो है उसी लोगों से उस एप्लीकेशन का थोड़ा आइडिया लो क्योंकि उनको बेटर of the culture and of how they crack the process ka idea hota hai. Yeah, maybe I'll move to the next if that's okay, or if you want to say something, maybe Ashwar sir. Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Ashwar sir.
I think this is one thing that we both of us will discuss more in detail. But like ये pre-application planning वाला जो phase होता है, it's very important that you guys don't jump around. Very honestly, you get a job, you stick with it at least for a year. At least evaluate how that feels like. Don't be in a rush to move to a startup. You know, there you have a lot of time at your hand. Understand this, and everything that you do should not be in a zigzag manner. So you jump from consulting to product management, then back to consulting or family business. No, that will not align. You have to follow a straight path, no matter how or what people say. When business schools adcom committee look at your applications, they will see, okay, how does this person's viewpoint actually get coherent with the essays that they've mentioned. By the way, in all essays you have to mention a short-term goal and a long-term goal. So your short-term goal and your long-term goal should be aligned. If your short-term goal is to get a job like it, at least spend a year to understand and evaluate what you exactly like. And even before that, when you're recruiting, we go in with the mindset that we need to find a job. आजकल के ज़माने में बहुत jobs available हैं guys. Even if you don't want to go through the on-campus route, I would say go through the off-campus route. You guys are smart enough. Maybe try and figure out the one thing that you want to do actually at the start of your business school, and push with it for another 3 or 4 years, and then make a move. But don't leave it, because I've done it in the past. Multiple promotions lured me in. I went out of the firm, switched to another one in 6 months. Didn't help. Uh, just as Sukrit mentioned, this was our perspective from senior Adams, from the seniors and Adams perspective. But like, apart from this, be very active in extracurriculars, and there's this thought process कि भाई NGO में काम कर लिया, सर्टिफिकेट दिखा दिया तो काम चल जाएगा. ऐसा नहीं होने वाला. You have to show meaningful impact, and when what that meaningful impact means that you've done something which has actually gained a lot of traction. So maybe contributing in international NGOs, becoming good at a sport to an extent that you've reached a certain level which has gained some amount of significant presence in the media, or you're good with music and you've done something about it, maybe trained 20 odd folks in music or arts, or you started a mentoring program, but not something like you do for like a month and then they say, hey, you know what, I was associated with it for like a month and this is what my extracurriculars would look like. I would also say that DC did not have at our time a lot of focus on a bunch of other stuff that you would have done, maybe learning about accounting, economics, finance. If you guys love that kind of stuff, go get yourself trained, get those experiences in, try traveling as much as you can, get that international exposure within your job. You guys will be good with it. Sukrit, anything else you want to add?
Just want to emphasize that the quality, like as you mentioned, the quality and the impact is more important than the quantity. So focus on that.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
Okay, so resume building.
I think this is too early.
It's too early for it. Like if people.
Very honestly, guys, I would say that we skip through this part, and both of us are more than happy to like get back to you. But any amount of content that we tell you right now on this particular aspect is not going to help you out, because you guys are still in college, and there's a lot of inputs that will go into it.
Yeah.
But Sukrit, if you want to like high level touch upon it.
No, I think like mainly like as you mentioned that eventually like whatever you're doing, it translates to your resume. So as we talked about impact in your resume, those are some of the things that we keep on showing, and we try to quantify the impact. कि अच्छा ये करा and हमसे ये like because of that activity like this many lives were saved, or this much dollars was saved, or we piloted something new. So it's essentially like what we were trying to say earlier. This is that one page that would depict that you are a quote unquote leader of the field that you are pursuing, and and it can be like any field, like for profit, non-profit, consulting, finance, engineering, kisi mein bhi. But yeah, maybe like all of this would be too early. I don't know. Usually, like I think application stage would be too early for.
But still, like,
Yeah.
it's just like 5 types of MBA essays. This is the kind of stuff that you would actually witness now. The trend has moved towards more of video essays, and this is one part that I want to highlight specifically. I understand it is very uncomfortable for a lot of us to be on calls with video present, but as something that I've seen in the corporate lately, it is very, very important that all of you develop a fairly good cadence when it comes to videos and stuff. Align your backgrounds, become smart with Zoom, Google Meets. If you feel that your background is not good, make it translucent. That doesn't mean I'm trying to like bother you guys with your current background. I'm just saying that you need to have that presence online too. And this is one thing that I kind of missed out on. So reading is one aspect touched upon. That is fairly important for your MBA prep. But apart from that, like after you clear the exams, you get an interview. What is going to really help you out is how you present yourself. And I don't feel any shame in saying that, us as DCites or us as like just generally engineering graduates have not the best communication capabilities. If someone had told me this back in the day, maybe 5 or 6 years back, I would have worked upon it. So a couple of ways you could do that is one, always when you're on a Zoom call or a Google call, open up your videos. Try to speak loud. Remove filter words like stuff like this. Because when you come to the US, the recruiters are going to catch on this stuff as well. You are going to be competing against folks who don't say these words. Just generally, us Asians are very fast when we communicate. We will go like a rocket. I got a lot of this feedback when I was in my first term at Fuqua, and I had to go through a hard time just changing all of it, slowing myself down. Try joining the Toastmasters Club. I think every one of you on this call should be a part of Toastmasters Club. Even if you guys don't have a Toastmasters around you, I would encourage SCEE to organize Toastmaster sessions for every one of us. If you've had this guidance from the both of us right now, I think this is one thing that will really help you in your job. Moving forward, if you organize any event, make it a point to ensure that all the meetings happen with the video on. I know it is uncomfortable, but it just prepares you for something which you will see 5 years down the line. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I just saw you have a Toastmasters club at DTU. Like all of you should become a part of it and like ensure that the Toastmaster club actually works well, because a bunch of my folks who had taken that training back in the day just nailed it during recruitment, and I kind of suffered. And if you look at this, like goals essay, self-reflection essay, contribution essay, all of this is fairly easy. These are standard questions that when you come in touch with a consultant or a senior or an alum, they are going to tell you what to write in it. It's a specific storyline, and a bunch of folks who've been through this MBA process actually know. For that matters, even leadership essays. You just need to pull out different anecdotes from your story and try to fit how you've contributed and created an impact, just as Sukrit mentioned in the previous slide. But the video essay component of it, that will be like a 2-minute thing that you will be thrown on. Okay, now that you've completed your application, this is the question that you need to answer in the next 90 seconds. And you'll be given like a minute to think about it, basically like an extempore. And that is where, since all of us go out of that practice, at least I went out of practice, I could nail it. And that's one of the reasons I think probably I got dinged from Kellogg, because I remember in my year, it was the first time that they started it, and I was not prepared for it well. Also, it's a lot of pride and anxiety when you have to go through this process, when you're already in the churn, you're putting in so much amount of effort. It is not the best outcome. So it is much better to make it a muscle memory starting now. You have like 5 or 6 years. By the time that stage comes, you guys will nail it. I'm good with this slide. So, brother, if you want to touch base upon something else, or we can.
Yeah. I think just to like reiterate, absolutely. मतलब कभी ना कभी जिंदगी में अगर करना ही है तो बेटर है कि जल्दी ही कर लेते हैं, है ना, ताकि अपनी जॉब में भी we'll find advantages from that. And honestly, like I also struggle with it still. थोड़ा सा मेरा ये आ जाता है, and when I try to record myself and see कि अच्छा यार ये उतना polish नहीं आया, तो वो थोड़ा effort लगेगा. Either you put it now, 5 years later, 10 years later, but if you really want कि यार you have an impactful presence in the room, it's necessary to do it.
I'll tell you what, I specifically have feedback sessions with my mentor or manager when I get on a call, just to remove that hesitation which comes in. I've been given this feedback often that I'm not too loud, but that's just my thing. I've always spoken very softly, and we Indians are very polite in that manners. When you come here, you'll realize Americans are fairly loud. So your polite or your level will be like, oh, this is so low. Why is he speaking so low? Is he low on energy? That's how it gets put on. It got put on to me like this. Oh, you look a little dingy in the energy. What's wrong? Are you okay? Like, no, I'm okay. I'm used to speaking like this. But that's the kind of feedback you want in your life that you can improve.
Before we move on, we should ask Aishwarya, are you okay?
Oh yeah, definitely I am.
Okay.
Good Saturday morning. Woke up at, I don't know, what, 5:30 or something. But like, yeah.
I thought you were in India, like by when you
No,
were.
dude, like, I was not in India.
Okay, so yeah. Selecting recommenders and LOR strategy. Again, like it's too early, but basically, yeah, recommenders would be in every organization you go, you want that one person who backs you up very well. So you need to like think about, yeah, like you don't fuck up your relations, and the organization should try not to. Maybe it's like not always possible, but again, like that should be the goal. And then like that person would be your backer in terms of your MBA application, and then like usually for LORs, these are the 2-3 major kinds of questions which are asked across schools. They try to keep it standard so that the recommenders don't have to like write a lot or like change a lot. But yeah, it's necessary, like especially the phases that you are about to go to. You should try to like build that relationship with one or two people at least from the firm, so that you can like see and get a recommendation at a later point in time, and try to like be in touch with those people, because usually in your 5 or 6 year career, you may change like jobs once or twice or thrice. Hopefully not more than that, as Aishwarya sir said. But yeah, like it's necessary to then also be at the top of mind for them. Maybe it's like as simple as checking in, ki, how are you doing? Like especially I realized that during my application stay that I hadn't spoken to a lot of my people who I wanted to take a recommendation from. So like 3-4 months before, since COVID was also happening, I just like put in a small line that hope all's well. This pandemic has raged the world. So just to like get back in that game.
Was that your recommender who went on a leave before the application, or was it someone else?
I think maybe someone else. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. I'll tell you. I've had Sukrit has a very polished viewpoint on this. I come from a family business background, so I struggled a lot, and I put in the DC Jugaad way of doing stuff. So, LOR, no one gives a fuck about it. In all honesty, no one wants to write it for you. You will have to make it yourself and push it to them. Obviously, you will not be inputting that for them. They'll have to make changes, but then you have to be at that state wherein they're at least comfortable enough for you drafting them out a version so that they can build upon it. One. Second, I do not encourage this kind of behavior. 2, 3.
Code of ethics.
Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying this, but like 3, I'm being a bad Adam here. It is very important कि जिसका काम किया है उसे सही बना के रखो. जिससे काम किया है उसी से रिकमेंडेशन जाएगी तो फायदा है. किसी अरे गहरे से चलेगी जिसके साथ काम भी नहीं किया है, who's not managed you, it's not going to be impactful. So be very cautious. ये सारी चीजें लोग जॉब में जाते हैं तो नहीं सोचते ना, अरे देख लेंगे उसको उठा के रख देंगे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कोई नहीं, जॉब पकड़ लेंगे, कोई और मैनेजर पकड़ लेंगे. I've done that all in the past ना, chill मार लेंगे. Family business, I had a family business ना, it was so difficult finding a recommender. I bet you like I've इतने पापड़ बेले इस चीज को लेके, because in a family business you think about it, like you have vendors, you have suppliers, they're not digitally acquainted or they're not too digitally well versed कि उनको बताओ कि भाई मैं अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, all of that stuff. So वर्स का वर्स जुगाड़ लग जाएगी, बट पहले से सही करने की कोशिश करना, ठीक है ना. इट विल नॉट हेल्प अगर नहीं करोगे तो फिर आगे बढ़ते हैं. Oh bloody hell, this is the worst part. This is like the most generic stuff. Job description, reason to leave, extracurriculars, award, recognition, optional, ऐसे ऊपर के 3-4 पॉइंट जो है वो तो मिल जाएंगे, ठीक है ना. नौकरी का कोड डालोगे, गूगल से उठाओगे, कॉपी पेस्ट मारोगे, दैट इज इट. ठीक है. ये जिसने भी बिल्कुल कंटेंट डाला है बहुत ही कंसल्टिंग वाली भाषा लिखी है, बड़ा स्ट्रेटेजिकली टू कवर अचीवमेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन. I think this is like when you get to that part, you will realize all of this is bullshit. You have to just fill the form out. It takes like 2.5 to 3 hours. I was one of those people. I still remember me putting in my Kellogg's booth application with just 20 seconds left. So don't be that guy. Okay, na? Don't leave it to the last minute. And I remember I used to do it overnight, then sleep in the morning. Crazy stuff. Don't do it.
Absolutely. मेरे को भी बोलते रहते थे कि कर लो टाइम से. मैं भी सबको
ये बोला कि मत करो यार, 4 दिन पहले close the application out, but someone just gets pulled to the last minute, and it's a all-nighter major stress thing. I hope no one has to write an optional essay, but optional essays are usually used when you have break in your a break in your work experience, or maybe you've jumped too much. Like I wrote a bunch of optional essays just to justify why I had moved from one company to another company in 6 months. Stuff like that. So that is the reason I keep on saying, spend a year, give it some time. I know things can go bad, but they will improve eventually. We can go to the next one, Sukhrit.
Interviews. Again, like this would come in much later once you submitted your application. Usually, like if you're selected for an interview, दो तीन टाइप्स की होती है. Sometimes they know about you, and sometimes like they just see the interviewer just comes and sees your CV right at the moment when you join, and that's why like the blind versus unblind. But like the prep is fairly standard in terms of you need to walk through your CV, and generally it should be a very coherent story कि तुम्हें MBA अभी क्यों करना है, इसी स्कूल से क्यों करना है, क्या तुम्हारे goals है, what would you achieve from it. Or फिर generally like they would also touch upon like various aspects of your career. कि अच्छा, tell me about a time you failed, tell me about a time you led a team. So like that, all these things you'll know about. I don't know like what the questions would be like 4 or 5 years down the line. But like as you get in the groove, mostly similar ही होंगे. But as you get in the groove, you'll know कि कैसे करना है. And again, like as we mentioned, then having that eloquence and having that poise and polished sense of speaking would really help. क्योंकि तब तुम्हें जाके अंग्रेजी में जो उनको बतियाना है वो सारा का सारा
पूरा बाहर निकल के आता है. जाकिर खान नहीं कहता कि जब सबसे क्रिटिकल मोमेंट्स होते हैं तो तुम्हारी सबसे अच्छी अंग्रेजी बाहर निकल के आती है. ऐसा होता नहीं है रियल लाइफ में ना. फैक्ट है. तो हाँ, I remember like when I was preparing, मैंने बोला ये applications तो फॉर डाली, invite भी आ गया, अब क्या बड़ी चीज़ है. Then they put me through like my consultant really put me through 50 different questions, and he's like he kept on asking, what is the one time you had your business turn around? I was like, ये तो कभी जीवन में हुआ ही नहीं है. How do I solve for it? फिर what is the most inspiring leadership journey you've been a part of? मैंने बोला inspiring कौन सी होगी, leadership सब normally करते हैं. But think about it. The reason they ask you this question is because they want to juggle your mind. They want to know how you are. This entire process, when you go through it, and when you come out of it, you will realize you've become a changed person. Like I at least felt it. I evolved quite a bit. And now that I look back at it, I still feel that there could have been a lot which could have been done. So interview prep is the one piece which people ignore. It has got a similar weightage as applications, but you can prepare for it right now. Try getting into the habit of speaking always on the camera. It's going to be there. And don't get intimidated. That is the other piece. Sometimes alums, like they come and you get intimidated by who that is. Like I had a friend who had an interview with Vikrampati Singhania of the Raymond Group. Like not that Singhania, but like a brother of it. And they're like, you sometimes feel, oh my God, there are so big people coming out to interview you. Could be a bunch of like Muthoot Finance guy, that guy interviews. So it's very easy to, feel that intimidation. Sometimes you go out they'll ask you to come out for a coffee in Starbucks and they'll be like, hey, let's sit chat. It's very casual for them, but it's not casual for you. It can be a little, it can be a little daunting, but don't let it go on top of your head. Very easy thing. दिन का काम है रोज का. इंटरव्यू करना चालो, वो कर लेंगे अपना, तो अपना काम करो.
Absolutely. And if you've come this far, तो यार कुछ तो बात है तुम में, तो you will also ace it इसके बाद.
Exactly. हाँ, थोड़ा तो confidence भी रखना है यार. हम लोग बैठे हुए हैं. You guys can reach out to us, but
absolutely. And मतलब I generally I think जैसे हम process बता रहे हैं, it's fairly long process. I think it's necessary कि अगर तुमने decide करा है और ये करना है तभी करना, मतलब it's not the only way to succeed, obviously. And it takes a lot of work, honestly. Like
2
exams.
साल खिंच जाते हैं यार, 2 से 2.5 साल खिंच जाते हैं पूरे ना.
तुम अगर ऐसे आधे मचद्दे मन से कर रहे हो तो कभी कभी लाइक तुम कर भी लोगे धक्का मार के, बट फिर वो रिजल्ट नहीं आएगा, वो दिखेगा नहीं, और फिर तुम्हें लगेगा कि यार क्या बकवास प्रोसेस है.
और तुम पहुंच भी गए यहाँ पे ना, तो तुम फिर कन्विंस नहीं होगे कि मैंने एमबीए किया क्यों. एमबीए किया ही क्यों, मतलब इतना पैसा क्यों डाला, कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, ना लोग ना खाना. एंड ट्रस्ट मी, हम खाने की वैल्यू ना घर की तब समझ में आती है जब तुम बाहर आके रहते हो ना. मतलब when you prepare that shitty food that you yourself cook, oh boy, you admire the cooking skills of your mom, like really. But yeah,
I think
go ahead, Sukhit.
Absolutely, हाँ, मतलब especially like when you move out of the country, and I think more sir mentioned कि कभी-कभी like it's very necessary to have that international experience. I think it helped in my case for sure. मैं थोड़ा सा अफ्रीका में जाके काम किया था, रवांडा में, तो मेरे को लगा कि मेरी एप्लीकेशन में थोड़ा दम है, एंड hence I could also push it. थोड़ा सा internal self confidence भी आ गया कि मैंने differentiate करने की कोशिश करी है, अपने आप को help करेगा. तो बट हाँ, इन सब दौरान यही लगता था कि यार इंडिया आके बटर चिकन खाना है यार, गोलगप्पे खाने हैं, तो हाँ, एंजॉय कर लो ये सब खाने भी. बट हाँ, आई थिंक वील स्टॉप हियर एंड मे बी नाउ लेट्स मेक इट अ लिटिल मोर इंटरेक्टिव. काफी लोग तो छोड़ के भी चले गए, बट हाँ, किन को क्या क्या क्वेश्चन है, माइक कैमरा ऑन करके मे बी यू कैन आस्क.
Thank you so much, sir. I must say, on the behalf of everyone, that it was indeed a very insightful presentation. Now we'll just start taking the questions that we have curated from the Google form responses that we floated. Right. I'll start with the first question. And to all the participants, if you have any questions, you can put it down in the chat box, and then we'll take it from there.
Maybe let them also ask. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, for all the people who are in the ski society, they can probably turn on their cameras and go ahead. But first, raise your hand. Otherwise, it will be chaotic.
Yeah, एक काम करो लोग, मतलब just turn on the cameras, man. मतलब you know, I would just say कि हाँ, मतलब इतना ज्ञान दिया तुम्हें, थोड़ा तो चालू कर ही लो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. We're not gonna judge you. तुम सब बहुत सही लगते हो यार. तुम लोग डीसी वाले ग्रेजुएट्स हो. तुम लोग को टशन में घूमना चाहिए ना प्रॉपर. डीसी का टशन तो ठीक है, डीसी का टशन अलग. Yeah. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but like there was a list last year, and we don't. This is very unfortunate that our alma mater and DC does not put this through. But last year, the top 3 or 4 most valued startups were not from IITs but from DCE. That's a fact. BITS keeps on harping, "Arey, BITS is the startup school." No ways. It is just DCE. So have that confidence in you guys. You know, you've had alumni all across. तुमने नायका के बारे में सुना है ना? नायका का IPO अभी solid हुआ था, सुना है ना? नायका. So Nykaa was founded by, I forgot the name. कौन सी नैयर है? Mrs. Nair. So the husband of that lady happens to be a DCE alum. His name is Sanjay Nair, and he was the ex-India head or CEO of KKR. Now he's the entire Asia head of CEO of KKR. KKR is a private equity firm. If you've heard about Grofers, so Grofers was provided seed funding by Mr. K. Ganesh. And K. Ganesh and Meena Ganesh are serial entrepreneurs. Falguni Nayyar, that's it. Thank you. K. Ganesh and Meena Ganesh are serial entrepreneurs. And if you read about them, you'll figure out they were one of the early investors in Grofers, legendary entrepreneurs. They've made a huge amount of impact, not just by Grofers, but with Portico. Very, very famous in the South, in the Bangalore ecosystem. People to go to. Likewise for Paytm. There are a bunch of them, you know, Policy Bazaar. So just something to feel pride about, something to give you confidence. You know, you guys have significant presence all across. Go ahead, answer questions.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll be begin with the first question. This is quite basic, but a lot of people had this down, so I have to clear it. Like, what is the significant distinction between pursuing MBA abroad and trying to pursue MBA from top-notch universities within India, like IIM, ABC, for that matter?
Sukrit, you want to take this or should I take it? You're on mute, bro. Still on mute. Sorry, I'll take this one further. So, I have a different thought process on this, but I just generally feel when you go to the IIMs, A, B, or C, you typically end up with a bunch of people who are fairly unexperienced, 1 to 2 years straight fresh out of college, don't know shit about business, and that's a fact. I would give more points to an ISB where people have relatively more significant experience. And for me, at least through my MBA journey, I think I learned a lot from the diverse set of people that I kind of hung out with. The kind of experience someone from coming from Israel would have, and the value that they will bring to the table will actually improve your experience. Second, there's not a lot of focus on soft skills and networking in India, and that's a sad fact. Could be the case, maybe brimming up in ISB, but not at least in IMs of A, B, and C. You become an academic guy, you learn a lot of finance. But then if you compare them to someone from an international MBA, I just generally feel that even though they could be good in academics, MBA is not just about academics, it's about the entire package that you've developed into. So from a soft skill perspective, networking perspective, you would end up becoming someone who is way more maybe sophisticated and intellectual than compared to someone who's from an IIM, A, B, or C. What else? But higher, talking core hardcore data, but folks in IIMs get hired at a lower level. So if you compare consulting firms, they get hired at a junior associate, whereas if Super gets hired to McKinsey BCG, he'll go become a consultant. Likewise at Amazon, where I am right now, a bunch of folks from IIM, ABC, and ISP will start at an L5 compared to folks from an LPS or a Fuqua or a Wharton who start at an L6, which is like grade above. So, if you want to take experience and spend some time in the industry, then I would say go do an MBA from Singapore somewhere else or maybe ISB, so that you can at least negotiate the terms of where you want to start. But if you want to go straight out of your undergrad, then IIM's ABC are much better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think यार practical consideration तो वो भी होती है कि यार पैसा कितना खर्च हो रहा है and कितना कर सकते हैं, तो I think that is definitely a given. And I think the other than that, अगर if you are dead sure कि यार इंडिया में ही रहना है और इंडिया में ही काम करना है, तो maybe like then also it makes sense कि ठीक है you like do an Indian MBA, try to see अगर थोड़ा सा बाद में international तुम्हें काम करने का मौका मिल जाता है, definitely opens up your horizons and the way you look at the world. But हाँ अगर इंडिया में रहना तो I still think कि ठीक है इंडिया से MBA करो.
Thank you so much. All right. Sahas, you will take the next question.
So, sir, I had this question. One of my close neighbors, he's from IIT Delhi, and a few of his companions, fellow students and friends, like he was from mechanical branch, and a few of his companions are from lower branches like textile and all, where you get that extra free time to utilize. So they invested in startups. They started working under startups, and they also did some social work. So it eventually kind of enhanced their CVs, and they got selected through CAT, to top IMs and all. So I wanted to ask, if this kind of indulging into social work is also gonna help in doing MBA abroad and getting selected into these top universities.
Okay, I'll take this one too. So I think just generally, if you invest your time in something which allows you to have an experience outside of your current academics, and you can position it in a manner in a story which says or aligns with your interests, then I think every business school is going to buy that story. Also, when you train for interviews in CATs and like for the FMS and IMs, all the consultants do a pretty good job in telling you how to rotate that story. No one really tells you the exact stuff they did. It's always inflated, not just for like the Indian stuff, but like also for international stuff. So I think this is a great value add. Overall, keep aside both of this, but just generally for you as an individual, I think it is very important to have that experience on board because you will learn more about yourself. Just getting to learn a little bit more about yourself, and if you continue to push on that, maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, you will know exactly where you want to be. A lot of folks don't even really know if they want to pursue an MBA. They do it because they get bored from their current job and they want to switch fields, which is not the right way to think about this. You do an MBA because you feel you want an MBA. My entire thought process is that you do things only when you know that you want to do it and you're dead sure about it, else you mark it off. So get to a point wherein you mark things out.
Oh yeah, thank you. So, I guess you can ask your question now.
Uh, very good morning to you, sir, since it will be a morning in the US. So my question to you was we generally require LORs for some internship applications as well. So it is quite analogous to our situation since due to this online mode, our connection with professors has weakened a lot. And that is why I would like to ask that, for example, would it be all right if we are supposedly not in touch, but we are going back to one of the bosses or managers who we had earlier in our career to ask for an LOR?
Yeah, I think मेरे हिसाब से I think usually you should try to अगर थोड़ा सा touch में रह सकते हो, but at the same time, like I think people are generally good. Like I know that feeling. So like if somebody reaches out, they're more than happy to like provide an LOR to you, even if they don't remember you. Then you can try to jog their memory. Acha, like this was during this time I was with you. I did this work with you. Obviously थोड़ा सा substance होना चाहिए, but generally I've seen like people to be very open and supportive.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Another question that was put up in the chat was: does CFA doing add an advantage for MBA applications? Sukrit sir can answer this.
So like I did only level 1 of CFA mainly because I was working in finance. तब मैं JP Morgan में काम कर रहा था. कंपनी ने स्पॉन्सर भी कर दिया था तो फ्री में भी हो गया था. तो ये सारे रीजंस की वजह से मैंने कर लिया था. डेफिनेटली आई थिंक फायदा होता है. इन अ लॉट ऑफ द एप्लीकेशन दे आस्क यू इफ यू हैव अ डिग्री लाइक दिस. It's definitely advantages, but at the same time it is also like some time commitment, and you should see ki if you're working in finance, definitely you'll get that value add from it. But agar if you're not working in a field of equity research या फिर finance में कुछ, so I don't think कि बहुत ज़्यादा उस like you should do it just for the sake of doing it for the business applications. If it's organically good, yes, you should do it, but else I don't think so.
All right, thank you, sir. Abhinav, you can ask your question now.
Hello, sir. Sir, actually, it is said that if you have experience in NGO or any kind of startup, so your chance of
रहना,
getting
2 मिनट.
selected or shortlisted
शांत रहना, 2
increases.
मिनट
Is
अब.
it true or not?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what. I come from the same thought process. I used to think, अरे, NGO होना चाहिए, social entrepreneurship कुछ करना चाहिए. So when I started my social entrepreneurship thing, I was also in this view. I wanted to improve my profile overall. But I just generally think that unless there is a real value which is getting delivered, nothing will happen. So you need to be very smart and prudent in terms of where you want to put in that effort, even with an NGO. If you work with a local NGO which has not sufficient traction or which these people don't know about, it is going to be sidelined as something which might look as fake. So say compare you working for a CRY versus you working for a local NGO that no one knows about. People still know what CRY is because a bunch of you folks apply using their experience in CRY to different B schools. So be very mindful as to what you do. To answer your question, yes, definitely like social entrepreneurship or NGO experience does help. Startups, I'm still not sure of. Again, startup has to be something that has gained media attention, traction, is in the way to become a good unicorn, all of that good stuff. But apart from that, like doing something for like 6 months, 7 months might just help you get that perspective. It might get aligned with your story if you kind of work in the same direction. But if not, then it will fall off. So it might not really be too helpful again if you work in random startups or random NGOs just for the sake of improving your profile. Stay focused in one area, one field, and work on it.
Yeah. I think हाँ मतलब जैसे business school में definitely you see people around you. There's a lot of variety. ऐसा कुछ there's no single path to reach here. A lot of people have come from like good brands. Then a lot of people have also come from like startups. I like could say I took the sort of an NGO route क्योंकि I shifted from JP Morgan to Clinton Health, which was an NGO essentially. So like I think different routes work, but it's necessary to like show that impact that you have done in your career. I'm still not sure कि यार how valuable a brand is like throughout your entire application or entire career, like because I think DC, yes, it's a brand, but still not like IIT level या वो कुछ. तो I don't know कि कितना वो brand का impact होता है. Maybe like ऐश्वर्या सर आप भी बताना. क्योंकि मेरे I try to focus on getting those brands all across. क्योंकि मेरे को लगा कि यार मेरे को business school में ही brand में जाना है.
I have an answer for you, Sukrit. Okay.
Yeah.
Just to answer Sukrit's question of how brand matters, you know this guy is already in Wharton. That is how brand matters. You get it? DC, JP Morgan, Chai. What was the last one? Pre-MBA?
Snapdeal, but yeah, mainly.
4 brands. Gets you to Wharton. I have a friend who's based out of New York. She's also a Whartonite. She's currently with McKinsey. She was from Bombay, I think Mithibai. Then she was a CFA charter, worked with KPMG and then with NIIF, National Investment Infrastructure Fund. Came here, did her internship with World Bank's private equity arm. Also had an internship with Strategy and that kind of just helped her get a role with McKinsey New York. So in my view, I just generally feel comparing to my story, like I had brands, but like lower pedigree ones, very honestly. And my family business did not really supplement much of my profile. So now when I compare, I feel that these guys had a much more aligned strategy. You know who I'm talking about.
Thank you, sir. All right, move on to the
Yeah,
next one.
one second. I had a question for Sukrit, sir. Sir, you went from JP Morgan to Clinton Health Access Initiative, and it was quite an unconventional job. So, was it keeping in mind your going for an MBA in future, or was it just a normal career choice, and then it turned out to be beneficial for your MBA pathway? And also, how did you come across that opportunity?
Very candidly, I took it mainly from the MBA perspective. But at the same time, क्या कहते हैं, ऐसा नहीं था कि it didn't like make zero sense for me. क्योंकि मैं ऐसे JP Morgan में I was like I thought कि अगर मैं application में क्या लिखूंगा from that perspective also. तो मैं JP Morgan में insurance और financial institutions को थोड़ा support कर रहा था. और जो मेरा Clinton Health Access Initiative में भी था, वो भी मेरा insurance related थोड़ा सा काम था. तो थोड़ा सा वो मैंने ट्राई टू लाइक फाइंड दैट थ्रेड जिस पे मैं सेम कर सकता हूँ. और फिर जब मैंने स्टोरी लिखी थी मैंने बोला कि यार जो मैंने थोड़ा सा करा भी था कि क्या कहते हैं कि मैंने हेल्थ केयर एनजीओज में काम किया था ड्यूरिंग जेपी मॉर्गन टाइम एंड हेल्थ आई गॉट दैट इंक्लिनेशन टू वर्क एंड क्रिएट दैट इम्पैक्ट ऑन पीपल. सो all these things need to make sense eventually when you write down. So maybe you can evaluate from that perspective. I knew that somehow Clinton Health and like having worked in Africa would help me in the situation. So वो सब main goal था. But honestly, like after doing so, I enjoyed myself a lot, and I see myself as a changed person during that time. As you mentioned, कि थोड़ा सा बाहर रह के interacting with like different people, it changes you. So definitely it helps in very organic ways also.
Also, sir, how did you come across like an opportunity in Rwanda? Like keeping in mind it's a very very remote country and not usually Indians go there. So yeah, how did you come across that?
Yeah. So honestly, like it happened as a step by step. हमारे एक और like मोर सर के बैच के है तरुण जोशी. He was supposed to join us. So he actually joined Clinton Health Access Initiative in Delhi. And वो JP Morgan में थे तो तब मेरा उनसे भी काफी बात चल रही थी कैसे करना चाहिए. तो उन्होंने ये करके उसके बाद केलॉग की तरफ उनका अच्छा चल रहा था, तो आई न्यू किया क्लिंटन हेल्थ एक्सेस इनिशिएटिव का थोड़ा सा ट्रैक्शन है टुवर्ड्स स्कूल्स, तो लाइक दैट एक्सपोज मी टू इट. तो कभी कभी वही लाइक द काइंड ऑफ कंपनी यू कीप, इट गिव्स यू आइडियाज कि किस तरफ तरफ तुम जा सकते हो. तो दैट वाज द इनिशियल आइडिया, एंड देन like unlike having any sources or referrals इतना, I just kept applying. काफी reject भी हुआ जब starting में change कर रहा था, वही interview skills थोड़ी सी practice करनी थी और resume अच्छे से know करना था, but like I applied organically to Southeast Asia, to Nigeria, Rwanda, so I was very open. And honestly like मेरे parents कह रहे थे कि तुम क्यों कर रहे हो, रवांडा कर भी रहे हो, तुम जाओगे तो होगी नहीं. मैंने कहा चलो इंटरव्यू प्रैक्टिस हो जाएगी, देखेंगे. और फिर इवेंचुअली हो गया, कन्विंस माय पेरेंट्स एंड वेंट देयर.
Thank you, sir.
I will quickly take a question in the chat box which says, so considering all this pandemic situation and the visa situation, do you think that the US still acts as a lucrative destination for MBA study considering the work opportunities it offers now compared to a decade or a decade ago? Very candidly, I would say that this is actually the brilliant question, the most brilliant question that I've come across. I was waiting for this kind of a question to actually answer it. Not to demotivate anyone, but I think this is a fairly valid point. The inflation in the US is at an all-time high, somewhere close to a level of 7.5% right now. Job opportunities are infinite. Like you have a lot of opportunities here. Visa situation is a little tricky, and just generally after COVID, I feel a lot of the programs might just transition to an online mode. So you don't know how situation looks like, but definitely not the most lucrative situation right now to pursue a master's or an MBA course with all the financial burden that comes along with it. I think about it as my ticket to the US, and it costed me like a crore and a half. I have to like repay it and like find my capital and make my way back. But just like financial decisions and financial aspects of it play a huge role, and everyone should factor that in. Also, the queue for green card is like 16 years old, 16 years now. So if you guys if you want to think about settling in the US, it's going to be a challenge, guys.
Very true, very true. And I think अब India में job market has also become very good in that way. There's a lot of funding.
इतने इंदिरा नगर के गुंडे घूम रहे हैं ना यहाँ पे सिलिकॉन वैली में. Like people are getting hired at crazy amount of salaries from Bangalore. So I would just say, you guys are at a very good situation right now. तो 3 साल 4 साल है, तब तक क्लैरिटी आ जाएगी कोविड कहाँ जा रहा है कहाँ नहीं जा रहा है. It's good that we are having this conversation, but be very financially prudent as well.
एक और क्वेश्चन भी था आई थिंक चैट में, ये पूछा था.
पूछा कि are there usually a couple of other programs like MS in Management, Science and Engineering, and Masters in Management? How can someone make sure that he or she is making the right choice considering all of them have business like or MBA like coursework? It's a very difficult question to answer, at least from my perspective in the Duke, at Duke University, when a bunch of folks came to do MS in Business Analytics or Masters in Management courses, they struggled quite a bit finding a job because you then have to compete in a market where you have MBAs available. So why would a company try to hire you versus not hiring an MBA who has more experience, who's gone through a more evolved program? So just generally they sound lucrative, and you don't go by the stats that are shown on the websites. That's very skewed because it doesn't speak only about the international students. It is a combination of domestic and international students. The view you might have could be a little tainted, but having said that, I think it's a much better decision to come do an MBA rather than an MS in management or a master's in management. Because what do you think about it?
I think मतलब a lot of people also do कि कभी कभी वो ये कर लेते हैं क्योंकि this you can do right after graduation, and उसके बाद फिर MBA भी कर लेते हैं because like this opens you up to the US geography. You're able to like also work in a very multinational environment, and then like essentially later on business schools, especially the US ones, recognize their own or some of these international brands better, so it gives you that leverage while applying. But again, like it's not necessary. I don't know, like after, I definitely agree to more so a point that the first job would be tough after this compared to an MBA. but I don't know like what happens like once the person has gotten that first job, once you're already in that market. So if you're already in, I think maybe you still are able to then function as like some other person, like who's in the graduate market. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Harsh, you can ask your question now.
Yeah, hello, sir. Sir, I would like to ask that how have the
हर्ष वीडियो
skills?
ऑन कर दो यार, हमें देखना है आपको हर्ष, अगर पॉसिबल है तो.
Yes, sir, definitely. Yeah, hello,
हाँ,
sir.
इतना अच्छा वर्चुअल बैकग्राउंड भी है यार, इतना तो लाइब्रेरी लग रहा है.
Okay. Yes, sir. I would like to ask that how have the skills you learned both inside and outside of the classroom translated to your current role? Like, what were, and how is the learning environment in the abroad, like competitive or collaborative, like supportive, what it is?
मोर सर, इट्स ऑन यू.
अच्छा ओके. तो यार आई थिंक एमबीए के बाद ना काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें क्लियर हो जाती हैं लाइफ में ना. एमबीए के बाद लोगों को हम एक पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रीम ऑफ थॉट से आ रहे होते हैं जहाँ पे हम बहुत एनालिस्ट वाले काम कर रहे होते हैं, प्रेजेंटेशन बना रहे हैं, नंबर्स चर्न कर रहे हैं. बट जब तुम एक एमबीए स्कूल में घुसते हो तो तुम्हारे पास ऐसे बहुत सारे मौके आते हैं जहाँ तुम टीम्स में काम करते हो, फिर टीम्स को लीड करते हो, लोगों को मेंटर करते हो, और ये सारी स्किल्स एक्चुअली फिर रिफ्लेक्ट करती हैं जब तुम काम पे जाते हो. यू हैव अ बंच ऑफ एनालिस्ट टू लुक अपॉन जो तुम्हें काम देंगे, जिनको तुम्हें फीडबैक देना पड़ेगा. आई करंटली वर्क लाइक मैनेजर वेयर हाउस फॉर अमेजोन, जहाँ पे कुछ 150 लोग काम करते हैं जो डायरेक्टली मेरे नीचे आते हैं. तो मतलब मुझे उनको मतलब वो बिल्डिंग चला के रखना मेरी जिम्मेदारी है. मैं 5 से 6 लोगों को डायरेक्टली एडमिनिस्टर करता हूँ, जो बाकी 30 लोगों को एडमिनिस्टर करते हैं. और मैंने एक चीज़ रियलाइज करी कि छोटी छोटी सॉफ्ट स्किल्स होती हैं, जैसे कि लर्निंग हाउ टू मैनेज अ डिस्प्यूट. जब तुम एक एमबीए स्कूल में होते हो, तुम्हें 5 लोगों के साथ डाला जाता है जो अलग अलग कंट्री से आए हुए हैं, अलग अलग टाइप की पर्सनैलिटीज़ हैं, अलग सब टाइप के. जैसे मेरे ग्रुप में सब टाइप के थे, सारे अल्फा कैरेक्टर्स, किसी की सुननी नहीं है. तो तुम रियलाइज करते हो कि तुम्हें कौन सी बैटल जीतनी है, कौन सी बैटल हारनी है ना. यू टेक योर बैटल्स. तुम आगे बढ़ोगे, पीछे बढ़ोगे. तुम्हें उसमें असाइनमेंट में इंटरेस्ट है नहीं है. ऐसे नहीं कि डीसी की तरह तोड़ देंगे फोड़ देंगे, निकालो हॉकी बैट, काय बेसबॉल बैट. वो हिसाब किताब नहीं चलता ना यहाँ पे.
मोर सर, आप टाइप ए हो, ये तो बता दो
यार. तो वो पता नहीं कौन सा टेस्ट होता है ना, उसमें तो सारा टाइप ही निकाला. मैंने बोला अच्छा होता है क्या. मैंने बोला ठीक है. फिर मैंने देखा मेरी टीम के सारे लोग टाइप हैं. तो there's a personality test which is a standard across all MBA schools. सबको कराया जाता है, पता नहीं इसका क्या रेलेवेंस होता है, बट स्टिल ठीक है ना. मुझे याद भी नहीं हो क्या है. बट मैंने रियलाइज किया कि जितने मेरे प्लेयर्स थे जो मेरे टीम में थे, सबका एक जैसा था. तो जब जो होता है ना, एक 4 कुक्स को साथ में रख दिया जाए, बिल्कुल स्पेशलिटी कुक्स को, जिनको खाना बनाना ही है सबको, तो फिर खाना बनता है. तो यू देन फिर ट्राई एंड मिटिगेट द सिचुएशन. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रेजोल्यूशन इज अ बिग पार्ट ऑफ इट ना. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रेजोल्यूशन आता नहीं है. अब हर बार या तो डर जाते हैं या बिल्कुल ही स्ट्रेट ऑन चले जाते हैं ना, या आजा देख लेंगे तुझे, या फिर मेरी गलती है, पूरा मेरी गलती है. यू हैव टू फाइंड अ मिडिल लाइन ना. यू लर्न ऑल ऑफ दोस थिंग्स व्हेन यू आर इन बिजनेस स्कूल. फिर तुम्हारी नेटवर्किंग की कैपेसिटी बहुत यूटिलाइज होती है. तो यहाँ पे नौकरियाँ ऐसे नहीं लगती कि भाई तुमने नंबर निकाले, काम किया, नौकरी लग गई. आज सुकृत
सही में. अभी मैं
होंगी उसकी दिन की ना, उसको 5 लोगों से बात करना पड़ेगा. यू हैव टू बटर देम अप, सॉफ्ट टॉक, स्मॉल टॉक करनी पड़ेगी कि क्या चल रहा है, और बताओ वेदर कैसा है, आज कल परसों सुपर बॉल है, क्या प्लान है. फालतू की बसड़ करनी पड़ेगी पूरी ना. वो लगता है कि बसड़ है, बट फिर जब तुम ऑफिस में जाते हो तो तुम रियलाइज करते हो कि यही सारी चीजें हैं जो तुम्हें लोगों के साथ रिलेशनशिप बिल्ड करने में मदद करती है. जैसे अगर हम आते हैं
एब्सोल्युटली,
जैसे हम आते हैं इंडिया में, कोई हमसे बात करता है पॉलिटिक्स के बारे में, क्रिकेट के बारे में, तो हम we feel excited ना. वैसे यूएस में it's baseball, basketball, all of this, weather, temperature, stuff like that. That helps you build that relationship. Then you go into people's good books, और फिर उसी बेसिस पे तुम आगे बढ़ते हो ना. यू फाइंड रेलेवेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज. तो जो चीज़ें तुम्हें हार्डकोर सिखाई जाती हैं बिजनेस स्कूल में, वो एक्चुअली बाद में ट्रांसफरेबल होती हैं बहुत ज़्यादा, अगर तुम उसको सही तरीके से लो. अगर तुम सब कुछ सीखे ही नहीं, तो तुम्हें क्या ही ट्रांसफरेबिलिटी मिलेगी ना. तभी मैं बोलता हूँ कि MBA school is not just about finding a job. It's also about like polishing all of this, building that acumen.
Sir, thank you so much. There was another question in the chat box that how feasible it is for someone to complete their MBA abroad and return to India and pursue their career here? Or how frequent it is? How frequent do people actually do it?
मतलब डेफिनेटली मोर सर वुड हैव अ बेटर आइडिया, क्योंकि अभी तो मैं MBA कर ही रहा हूँ. But I know that like जितना मेरे को अब समझ आ रहा है, I think it's becoming more and more frequent. I think people, as I said, I think the job market in India is becoming थोड़ी सी better also. So people are able to find mechanisms in which they can service their loan or the amount of money that they spend on an MBA abroad by getting an opportunity in India. But still, I would say कि यार at least like from the current initial analysis thing I have analysis, I think around 90% still stay in the US or and like a few percentage go to other developed economies, and some people go back to India at least like right after business school. अब ओवर टाइम कैसे लोग 3 4 5 साल बाद कितना जाते हैं वो तो पता चलेगा, बट हाँ.
या मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि अगर तुम बिजनेस स्कूल बाहर करने आ रहे हो तो उसको 5 साल या 6 साल की जर्नी तो मान के चलो मिनिमम. 2 साल MBA के, 3 साल नौकरी के, ठीक है ना. इतना एफर्ट लगाया है, इतनी मराई है, तुम नेट जीरो पे तो नहीं जाओगे, ठीक है ना. कि तुमने 1.5 करोड़ रुपए लिए लोन, 5 साल 2 साल बाद नहीं 3 साल बाद तुमने वो 1.5 करोड़ रुपए चुका दिए लोन के और तुम वो जीरो लेके वापस जा रहे हो. ठीक है, ऑब्वियसली व्हेन यू स्टार्ट इन इंडिया बैक तुम्हें ज़्यादा सैलरी मिलेगी, बट यू वुड आल्सो वांट टू अर्न इन डॉलर्स so that you can utilize that money and go back to India and spend it somewhere or maybe make a decent investment out of it. Having said that, I have always been one of those proponents who feel the need to like go back to India. I feel मेरा बहुत
स्वदेश का गाना बज जाता है पीछे.
क्या हुआ?
स्वदेश का गाना बज जाता है कभी भी.
काय का स्वदेश का गाना? नहीं, I'm just of the view that अगर तुम्हें कोई बहुत स्पेसिफिक बेनिफिट नहीं मिल रहा है unless for like capital benefits, तो India is also a decent economy, closer to home. और लोग कहीं ना कहीं वापस आ ही जाते हैं यार कभी ना कभी. कोई 5 साल में आता है, कोई 10 साल में आता है, unless कि उनको ग्रीन कार्ड मिल गया है. And they figure out ways to like find green cards, which I will not mention है, but like लोग ऐसे काम भी कर लेते हैं जिनको बहुत desperate होते हैं. तो बहुत से लोग जाते हैं वापस, ऐसा नहीं है. तुरंत MBA के बहुत कम लोग जाते हैं, मतलब तुरंत MBA के बाद बहुत कम लोग जाते हैं. मैंने बहुत कम लोगों के बारे में सुना है. बट जो लोग, तभी मैं बोलता हूँ जिसके पास फुल स्कॉलरशिप होती है ना, वो राजा है फिर. तो जब मन करेगा उठा के चला जाएगा बैक पैक करके, कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. There have been times and instances when not just me but like a bunch of my folks felt कि आज तो भाई सीन खत्म है, हम जा रहे हैं वापस 4 महीने के अंदर, क्योंकि वीजा सिचुएशन इतनी खराब हो रखी थी बीच में कोविड के ना. I was right in my second year when this had happened. No clarity, people arguing कि भाई online versus offline में क्या मोड रहेगा, are international students even allowed? So they do come a lot of low points, but then you either hang on top of it and you make it, or you go back. Both of which are fair, You've earned the degree, you've had that stature, you'll have a decent amount of jobs. If you go into a well-reputed firm, every firm has an office in India these days. They will give you the transfer. Consulting firms are on a hiring spree these days. मतलब ऐसे भर के ले रही है ना. ECG, McKinsey, Bain, हर जगह LinkedIn पे वही छाया हुआ है. So more enough opportunities available. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. There's another question that is MBA finance a good option for investment banking?
I think क्या कहते हैं जनरली लाइक जब तुम MBA में अंदर घुसते हो, you don't have to usually choose the major right away. You get your time कि यार 1 साल 2 साल में तुम जो कोर्सेज लेते हो उसके थ्रू करते हो, एंड बट एट द सेम टाइम इंटर्नशिप की रिक्रूटिंग हो जाती है पहले 3 महीने में. तो आई थिंक yes, obviously like जैसे जॉब इंटरव्यू में होते हैं, if you're going for investment banking they will ask you questions about finance, but that doesn't necessarily imply कि तुम्हें फाइनेंस में ही मेजर करना होगा. yes, like organically it makes more sense क्योंकि you want to signal to the recruiter कि अच्छा मैं फाइनेंस में कर रहा हूँ, मेरा इंटरेस्ट है फाइनेंस में, एंड हेंस मुझे इसलिए इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग में आना है. बट इट्स नॉट लाइक अ प्री रिक्विजिट फॉर इट. एंड लाइक एज आई सेड कि JP Morgan में आती थी ना हमारे कॉलेज भी, तो आई डोंट नो इफ करेंटली आती कि नहीं आती, बट आई नेवर हैड अ फाइनेंस बैकग्राउंड बिफोर. थोड़ा सा मैंने खुद ही पढ़ के इंटरव्यूज को वो किया था, एंड लाइक इट वर्कड.
Guys, sorry, I'll have to give you a heads up, but I have just 3 more minutes. We'll have to wrap it up there, or Sukrit can continue. I'll have to drop off. If there are any more questions, just let me know.
हाँ, I can join, like I can stay on for some more time if अगर questions है तो.
So we had this one like major question where we wanted to ask like what were the key takeaways from your journey as a DTUite. So if you could elaborate upon that before going.
हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल यार काफी एपिक जर्नी रही है मेरी. I think I'll be very candid about it. When I came to DC, I did not like it. I was a small town boy, came from Bhopal, never had exposure to Delhi culture. Massive shock. Very extremely nerd. Uh, I was a starter for civil engineering. CR sorry, rank opener था. फिर क्या था? क्या कहते उसे यार? I was a rank holder. I think first 2 sems में scholarship खूब मिली थी काफी. I was very nerd.
DR.
DR. I was DR for straight 2 sems. नहीं हाँ नहीं for first year I was DR. फिर मेरा हाथ टूटा. मैंने खूब आवारागर्दी करी. Proper अपना enjoy किया. When I got into the hang of it. वही typical यार. I don't know if you guys have watched Campus Diaries, but जो typical college में होता है ना, मस्त घूमना, कैंटीन में भसड़ करना, कॉफी लेके. I don't know if there's faculty there on the call by the way right now.
No, I guess it's
No,
just
no,
the
sir.
students.
No faculty. Sure.
थोड़ा जल्दी नहीं पूछ गए.
अरे वो तो चलता है ना. But like I still remember Mohan S. Mahata. There used to be this faculty. अभी शायद होंगे. He was very strict. He was a physics professor. French cut, and I remember जब मैं अपने टशन में था, I used to walk into his class with a coffee, and he used to always mark me absent. God knows what reason. Yeah. My scores tanked. I had a bunch of life experiences too, very hard hitting family experiences, but then I evolved. And I was very, very focused. Like मैं पढ़ाई से फिर academics पे इतना focus हो गया कि मैंने पढ़ाई पे कभी focus ही नहीं किया शायद. और मैं जाके जितनी politics हो सकती थी, DTU student association की, ये सारी की. रेसकॉम था, CR था 4 साल के लिए सिविल का. फिर इसके साथ what else? SCEE. So SCEE had its fruition in 2009, but I still remember me, Harshal, and like Atik restarting the chapter in 2012 or 11. वो एक विवेक सर के सर थे हमारे, विवेक सिंह, जो आजकल IRS हैं और करंटली कोलंबिया में मास्टर्स का कोर्स कर रहे हैं पब्लिक आर्ट में. उन्होंने चालू किया था, बट हमारी सोसाइटी काफी डोमिनेट हो गई थी. फिर हमने बड़ा जोड़ तोड़ आके सुकृत, विपुल, शिवांगी की मदद से पहला अपना वो SCEE का क्या नाम था उसका? अथर्व नहीं, आरम ऑर्गेनाइज किया था. आई रिमेम्बर छोटे से वो सिविल के लॉन में ऑर्गेनाइज किया था. एंड हाउ लाइक दैट वाज अ बेबी फॉर अस, यू नो, क्योंकि इनोवा में कुछ करना था और SCEE की प्रेजेंस, कुछ तो सिविल की प्रेजेंस दिखानी थी, तो हमने वो किया. फिर साइड में ASC करके शायद कुछ चालू हो गया था, जो दीपाली ने कर दिया था, अमेरिकन सोसाइटी फॉर सिविल इंजीनियरिंग, ASCE. यू रिमेम्बर कॉम्पिटिशन?
सर वो बंद हो.
अरे क्या बात. That's good. But having said that, I did all of it, you know, fell in love, heartbroken, failed, drank beer, did everything that you could have thought about. वो कहते हैं ना 5 B's होते हैं, जिसको पता है तो उसको पता है. But like did all of it in entirety. Did the most wildest things I could have thought about. Passed out, drunk like crazy. और finally में कुछ करना नहीं होता ना. रेसकॉम थे.
पहले नौकरी लग गई थी.
पहली नौकरी खाली थी. हाँ, फर्स्ट अगस्त I was done with it.
और क्या.
फिर मेरा काम ये था कि सबकी नौकरी लगवाना ना. I even actually, so this is one learning that you guys should take. अगर किसी कोई प्रोफेसर सर क्लास उस पे नहीं है, but I would just say कि किसी से पंगे नहीं लेने चाहिए ना. There's this प्रोफेसर, क्या नाम है, अवधेश कुमार. I don't know if he's still there. अभी हैं क्या?
हमारे सर फिजिक्स के टीचर हैं, अवधेश कुमार सर.
वो शर्मा वाले
AK शर्मा सर.
AK शर्मा नहीं, अवधेश कुमार.
नहीं अपडेट सिविल के अलग है, सिविल के अलग है. हाँ.
उनकी क्लास में बच के रहना, ठीक है ना. उनकी क्लास में बच के रहना. मेरे मिड सेम में हाईएस्ट नंबर थे, ठीक है ना, क्योंकि मैंने उसे अड़ी कर ली थी, तो मुझे फेल कर दिया था जबरदस्ती का. मैंने लड़ाई कर ली थी उनसे इस बात पे कि सर JP मॉर्गन में आ रही है, और JP मॉर्गन नहीं थी बाय द वे, तो लोगों के लिए खुली है, प्लीज बैठने दो, कहीं तो नौकरी लगने तो यार. गालियां मुझे पड़ रही, आपको थोड़ा ना कुछ फर्क पड़ता है. बट तो मैं क्लास से बच्चे लेके चला गया और उन्होंने मेरे नाम पे स्टार मार दिया. तब तो मैं टशन में था. फिर बाद में रियलाइज किया कि उसका काफी इम्पैक्ट होता है सब चीजों में. एप्लीकेशन पे भी होता है. इन ऑल ऑनेस्टी, यू नो, टशन अच्छा होता है, बट लाइक these are few things you can learn from me. I have done all that mistakes that you could have ever thought about. और क्या, लड़ाई कर ली थोड़ी बहुत, दो चार को मार दिया, तो जा से पिट लिया. That's it, man. That's life. Enjoy as much as you can. The best experiences, the best memories with, for me have been working with SCEE, these guys. अभी तो तुम्हें लग रहा है, but we like, हम लोग काफी क्लोज हैं. मैं, सुकृत, शिवांगी, विपुल, whenever we were in Delhi, we used to hang out even after the job. जो तुम्हारी रिलेशनशिप बनेंगी आज दोस्तों के साथ ना, वो ही वर्कआउट करेंगे. इवन मैं MBA से पास आउट हो गया ना, मेरे लिए न्यूयॉर्क सिटी क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट है, एंड आई वुड ऑल्सो लाइक टू पुल सुकृत इन, इज द फैक्ट दैट मेरे जो अंडरग्रेड के दोस्त हैं जिनके साथ मैं पहले दारू पिया करता था, आज भी मैं उनके साथ वहीं दारू पीता हूँ, उनके घरों पे न्यूयॉर्क में. दैट इज व्हाट मैटर्स, नॉट जस्ट लाइक ड्रिंकिंग बट लाइक सेइंग गोइंग आउट फॉर क्विक बाइट. दे आर देयर टू सपोर्ट यू. एमबीए में दोस्ती यारी है ना, बट लाइक जो अंडरग्रेड की फ्रेंडशिप है जो 4 साल चली है, वो दैट इज अनमैचेबल. You will never find such friends. You spend your worst and your best with them. And just being candid, but like obviously take the good experiences from me, not the bad ones. But like enjoy as much as you can. Don't take a stress, dude. Life में अभी तुम लोग बहुत छोटे हो यार. क्या मैं सोचता हूँ 10-12 साल पहले इतना स्ट्रेस लिया करते थे फालतू की चीजों का, अब तो क्या ही मुझे लगता है. When you evolve, you realize that you will move on from it. You guys are very smart. पढ़ाई लिखाई का स्ट्रेस एक लेवल तक रहना चाहिए. कॉलेज इंपॉर्टेंट है. Obviously work on your personality. Part of the reason why I did all of this extracurricular PACECOM was just to ensure that I become more proactive. I develop myself as someone who can actually present myself better in a corporate setting. तो वो बहुत important है और वो मुझे बहुत वैल्यू एड लगा. जब मैं ZS का वो दे रहा था ग्रुप डिस्कशन का पार्ट था, तो आई जस्ट मेड फ्यू पॉइंट्स व्हिच गॉट मी ऑटोमेटिकली थ्रू. उस पूरे ग्रुप में से शायद एक मैं ही सिलेक्ट हुआ था और कोई सिलेक्ट नहीं हुआ था क्योंकि सब भसड़ करने लगे हुए थे. इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू बिल्ड दैट वाइब, है ना. प्रेजेंस होनी चाहिए. मेरे सारे प्रोफेसर के साथ अच्छे रिलेशन थे, बहुत सारे के साथ, मतलब मोस्टली उस समय पे VC PV शर्मा सर हुआ करते थे, उनके साथ काफी अच्छे रिलेशन थे. लाइक एक्सपैंड योरसेल्फ ऑल अक्रॉस. ऑब्वियसली कुछ ऐसे प्रोफेसर होते हैं जो तुम्हें पसंद नहीं करते हैं, आप तुम कुछ कर नहीं सकते उससे, बट बाय द वे वी यूज्ड टू गो टू ऊटी. आई डोंट नो इफ दैट ट्रिप इज स्टिल ऑन और नॉट, बट लाइक सिविल और एनवायरमेंट वालों के बीच में बड़ी फाइट होती थी ना. ये लोग
हम गोवा जाते थे यार.
हम बैंगलोर मैसूर ऊटी गए थे, 10 दिन के ट्रिप पे. इट वाज फन, टू मच मोर फन.
हाँ, तुम लोग की होती है वो सर्विंग ट्रिप, क्या होता है वो, ऐसे ही होता है ना?
It hasn't happened until
So we're
now.
trying to make it happen this year.
अरे वो उससे ज्यादा फंडू चीज कुछ नहीं होती यार. 10 दिन फुल इन, पूरा मस्ती, इतनी मस्ती ना. मैंने वो भी ऑर्गेनाइज करी थी, बहुत मजा आया था. मतलब हमारे यहाँ 120 लोग थे शायद हमारे बैच में. बसें भर भर के जा रही हैं, ट्रेन के 2 बोगी बुक हो गए हैं. नेक्स्ट लेवल एक्सपीरियंस यार. मैंने कभी लाइफ में ट्रेन की बोगी बुक नहीं करी. अपने आप में फन होता है सब चीजें करने में ना, कि क्या चल रहा है. पूरे इतने 120 लोगों को मैनेज करना भी इज नॉट इजी. सब तुम्हारे दोस्त हैं, सब तुम्हें गालियां भी देंगे कि साला खाना अच्छा नहीं है, अरेंजमेंट अच्छे नहीं है, बट यू गॉट अ टाइट बजट टू वर्क विद. तो ऑल दैट इज फन. और
हाँ, मैं
डेली
तो गालियां देने वाले उसमें था. मैंने ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं करी थी, आराम से मैं गालियां दे रहा था, चिल कर रहा था. बट हम लोग गोवा गए थे, वो काफी फन था.
अबे कहाँ खाते थे अपन फ्राइडे पे? गुलाब, क्या नाम था उसका?
क्या?
अरे कॉलेज के बाद कौन सा वो रेस्टोरेंट है यार? फ्राइडे को ना, तो आई वाज हॉस्टल ना.
हाँ,
हम लोग की वो टिपिकल था एक, जहाँ पे फ्राइडे को आके खाना खाया करते थे.
भूल गया यार, नाम भूल गया.
नाम भूल गया मैं. डोमिनोज और NSP पे वो मोमोज और वो
लिटिल प्रिंस.
क्या बोल रहा है?
लिटिल प्रिंस
नाम बदल गया होगा यार, पता नहीं. वो मेन रोड पे ही है. G3S पे इतनी मूवीज लटकाई हैं सुबह रात को.
एब्सोल्युटली. कॉलेज के सामने हमारे टाइम पे तो वो रोल वाला होता था, वहां पे दबा के खाते थे. फिर पास में ठेका होता था, वहां पे थोड़ा सा चिल.
अभी भी है भैया, अभी भी है.
काफी काम हुए ठेके पे भाई. और हमने तो और भी अलग अलग चीजें करी है ना.
सही में यार, वो भी
ऐसे नहीं है, बट लाइक फाइनल ईयर में हमने दीवारें टापी है, अपनी फीमेल फ्रेंड्स को दीवारें टपवाई हैं, ऑल दैट गुड स्टफ. मैगी बाबा से गालियां खाई हैं, शर्ट जीती है मैगी बाबा से वर्ल्ड कप की. दैट आई ऑलवेज रिमेंबर. 1 महीने तक फ्री का खाना खाया मैगी बाबा से, व्हिच इज फन.
मैंने तो सिर्फ गालियां खाई उनसे.
अरे मैं तो इज्जत लेके गया था उनसे. काफी स्टोरीज है उनकी. अभी मैगी बाबा बैठते हैं बाय द वे?
No, I don't think so.
पता ही नहीं सर हमें.
Pre-pandemic he was there. उसके बाद I haven't noticed if any hostler is there.
बाबा वाज लेजेंडरी. रात को नाइट कैंटीन पे और मिकमैक पे कितना राव साहब के पराठे खाए.
एब्सोल्युटली.
Micmac parathas are still famous in college.
वो तो
ये तो है.
ऐसा बन गया था लोगों का ना. जो लोग गर्ल्स हॉस्टल में कुछ ऐसे सेट ऑफ लोग थे जिनका काम ये होता था कि रात को 12 बजे वो जाएंगे और प्रोवाइड करेंगे, क्योंकि गर्ल्स हॉस्टल का खाना आई थिंक रात को उतना अच्छा नहीं होता था. बट हैंग आउट स्पॉट मैन. टू मच.
तो कैंपस हमारा काफी सुंदर है यार. आई थिंक जनरली बड़ा ही सुंदर
fall in
कैंपस
love with it. Eventually you fall in love with it. मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, I started off hating it because I wanted to go to IITs very like I was crazy about it, but then I just loved it. I wouldn't have traded that experience with anything. IIT वाईटी सब जाते हैं ना, DC is DC. तो तुम सबसे chill engineering college के बारे में सोच सकते हो ना, वो ये है. Actually मैं जिसे कहते हैं ना next level chill. Faculty driven नहीं है. The best part about our college is कि ये student driven है. तुम जो चाहो कर सकते हो. Here I'll not take any more of your time, guys. It was a pleasure speaking to all of you. I'm really glad that we had this conversation. Sukrit will obviously continue, but you guys are a bunch of talented folks. Make the most of your time. Don't stress. Chill. Travel. Explore. Be fundamentally right. Think from a first principle perspective and move on. You'll be good. Take care.
Thank you so much. It was great to have you, sir. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know अगर हाँ कुछ questions है इसके बाद, but हाँ like I think we've gone through a lot of stuff. एक तरफ हम कह रहे chill भी कर लो, एक तरफ कह रहे ये सब भी कर लो, कैसे करोगे ना, मतलब बस देख लेना, थोड़ा सा balance maintain कर.
आपने किया ना, आपको आइडियलाइज करके कर लेंगे.
ये कर ही लोगे, सब लोग कर लेते हैं थोड़ा सा, but ठीक है, like this is also step in the right direction ना, तुम्हें अब थोड़ा आइडिया लग गया कि कब कब तुम्हें पुल अप करना है, कब कब चिल कर सकते हो, कब कब थोड़ा पुल अप करना है.
Okay, so now we call upon Mr. Adarsh Chawla, sir, Vice President of SCEE-DTU and fourth year environmental engineering student, to give the vote of thanks and conclude this event.
Thanks, Upasna. So, Sugrit sir, thanks a lot for coming. And it was a great session. Many profile building tips, career tips, getting into B schools. I hope it will influence everyone here. It will inspire people here to get into the world's top B schools. Congratulations again for Wharton. And you've made the environmental department proud, I'd say. And plus the candidate talks and so many insights, very valuable for anyone here. And wanted to say my thanks to Ashwari sir also, but he's left. You could just convey it to him. Thanks for all the candid talks and inside information, and just being very honest about everything. Very invaluable, and will remain in our hearts for a long way. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, and feel free to thank him yourself. I think it's a good way to also make that connection. LinkedIn पे connect भेजो उसको, मेरे को भी भेजो, ताकि हम लोग connected रहें. तुम्हें further जब तुम actually ये सब चीजें कर रहे होगे और तब तुम्हें कोई question आता है, then we could help you or connect you to the right people. So I think throughout, as I mentioned starting, maybe मेरे को तो alumni connection का काफी ज्यादा फायदा हुआ है. तरुण and ऐश्वर्या, इन्होंने मेरी बहुत ज्यादा help करी है job change करने में, थोड़ी guidance देने में. हमेशा हेल्प हो ही जाता है to get that perspective from a person who just 1-2 साल तुमसे senior.
Yes, in the past 2 years we've tried to maintain a alumni connect with the SCEE alumni for the past 7-8 years. We're trying to build a database, keep in touch with everyone, and have regular sessions so that you can share such great information with us. So always very thankful and very insightful. Thank you.
Absolutely, thanks a lot, guys. Nice to see all of you जिनको कैमरा पे देख पाया मैं. But yeah, all the best, school. If there's nothing else.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for joining, sir.
No problem.
Just accept my connection request on LinkedIn.
इसके मैं शक्ल दिखाओ तभी करूँगा accept. अभी दिखाओ शक्ल.
Krish also asked a question previously, so yeah, he did.
अच्छा ठीक है. चलो यार ठीक है, करता हूँ मैं अभी. Okay, guys, please take care. Be safe. Have fun. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Thank you, sir.
Good day, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for.